single bucket milking procedure. This is what we did before setting up our camel dairy farm on a pilot project. So basically each milk goes into the containers and then gets pasteurized later on. Or you have the fully automated milking system, just like on a modern cow dairy farm. This is, here you can see the system in place at His Highness Sheikh Mohammed's Emirates Industry for Camel Milk and Product, a camel farm just outside of Dubai, the city of Dubai in the desert. The first fully automated camel milking farm in the world. You see here the milkers standing in a small trench, the camels standing side by side. And first of all, they stimulate the udder to be able to give the camel the feeling as if the calf wants to suckle. Then they, of course, clean the udder with antibacterial wipes, and then they place I'm going to try and find the pointer, the liners up here onto the teats of the animal, and of course then the milk gets sucked out and goes underneath. I will show you later, and then gets cooled and then pasteurized. This is the milking parlor itself on the farm. Camels are highly intelligent animals, so it doesn't take very long for them to be able to be used to the fact that they're being milked in herringbone stands like this, on the farm. For us maybe, or at least for maybe a European view, putting animals in milking stands is not so unusual, but for locals or Bedouins coming to visit our farm, they're highly surprised to see their camels, which are usually considered quite stubborn, to be put into these milking stands and being milked properly and quite comfortably being milked, as you can see. This is from the top. You see on two parts, so 12 on each side, being milked. And this is the apparatus below, so the camels are just above the ceiling. You see the pipes coming in from the individual camels, and then little machines, little processors, the computers measure. First of all, see the indication that which camel is being milked because they have a chip, and then the milk gets qualified to see how much milk is produced, gets pumped into the cooling system, and then later on pasteurized. Our product is sold in the local market here in the United Arab Emirates under the trade name Camelicious. Of course, pasteurized, and this is the product you are tasting now, the fine camel milk, and comes in many flavors. You're just tasting the plain flavor, but we have strawberry, also date, saffron, and laban, which is a sort of specific sour milk of this region, and soon chocolate. The Camel Dairy Farm already supplies the Radisson SAS here in Dubai and the Jumeirah International chain, who do wonderful desserts and present the camel milk products to their hotel guests. According to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Foundation, the FAO, developing camel dairy products can not only provide more food to people in semi-arid areas, but also give nomadic herders a rich source of income, with an estimated US dollar 10 billion world market entirely within the realm of the possible. It's also important, as just mentioned by the FAO, is the idea of sustainable development, especially in light of today's increasing food prices. This is my father, Professor Dr. Ulrich Wernery, who is the scientific director for His Highness Sheikh Mohammed at the Central Veterinary Research Laboratory, and who actually thought of the idea of milking camels. You see him here in a supermarket in Dubai with our product, a 1 liter bottle. In the background you see smaller versions of it, and here you see different flavors, a saffron flavor, which is the this one here, then the date flavor, and then the plain milk here. There are different processes taking place in milking camels in comparison to milking the normal, let's say, Friesian cow. We have been developing on a number of pilot projects this system and tune-finding it. The main issues are the camel parlor itself. There's a completely new design, a herringbone stand. Then the vacuum and pulsation of the automatic milking machines are also very different. And finally, the udder and teat size of the camels themselves, the cows, are not uniform, and therefore we had to develop new liners. Here you see a picture of a typical camel udder. The teat is very, very different, very in themselves, very different sizes. So it's very difficult for the liner, for the suction machine, to actually grab comfortably the teat and be able to suck out the milk. Unless, basically we are having is this problem with the teats. You see here is each teat has two canals, two milk canals producing the milk or letting out the milk. One of the major discrepancies we have in the camel milk yield is that we have very low camel milk yield in comparison to cow's milk. And that is because of these reasons. First of all, the camel milk has been consumed for many centuries, but camels have not or never been systematically bred for milk quantity. So there are no large-scale enterprises. Furthermore, it is not often considered that calves which are reared with their dams for more than a year will drink several liters per day, even when they start grazing. On average on our farm, one camel produces per day about 15, 18, 20 liters of milk, half of which goes to the calf. So we actually can only sell 6, 8, 10 liters per day, which is in comparison to a 20, 30 liter cow in Europe or anywhere else in the States or so, very little. Furthermore, the herder's family does not require large amounts of milk, and therefore milking is incomplete. The practice of not emptying the udder will immediately reduce the milk production. Now I want to explain to you, despite all of the problems we've had with milking camels, the main compositional differences of camels and cow milk and the benefits of camel, which are immense. The table clearly shows that vitamin C is more than 3 times that of cow's milk. Vitamin C, of course, being a strong antioxidant vital for growth and brain activity. Vitamins like vitamin B1 and B2 are present in the same amount as in cow's milk, but vitamin B3, niacin or nicotinic acid, you will find in very high amounts in camel milk. A deficiency, of course, of vitamin C leads to pellagra or sort of hyperpigmentation of the skin. Furthermore, as camel milk does not coagulate in the stomach, i.e. curdle when it is mixed with acid, in this case, of course, the stomach acid, the good properties of camel milk get readily absorbed by the body system. Interesting, you will see on the chart, it is very low in fat, naturally. So 1.8 to 2% fat, which is half of that of the cow's milk. Interesting, especially for you chefs, is that the milk from camel does not form a so-called cream layer, since the fat molecules are very small and evenly distributed. Camel milk is therefore, for example, ideally created to create a wonderfully frothy cappuccino, for example. In camel milk, you will also find a double amount of insulin than in cow's milk. And this insulin is readily absorbed by the mucous membrane of the intestine due to the fact, as I said before, that it doesn't coagulate, it doesn't curdle in the stomach. Scientists in India have published several studies in the American Diabetic Journal that already the consumption of just 400 milliliters, or half a liter of camel milk a day, of fresh camel milk a day, reduces the blood sugar level drastically. The strength attributed to camel milk lies in its protein compounds. Camel milk does not contain beta-lactoglobulin, a different form of beta-casein, readily found in cow's milk, which of course is one of the major causes of allergies. Instead, camel milk contains such proteins which are found in natural mother's milk. Furthermore, you can see camel milk helps to combat a general nutritional issue, lactose intolerance. It occurs in people over 5 years of age as a result of the decrease or absence of the enzyme called lactase. The production of the lactase is generally genetically programmed. Approximately 90 to 95% of black individuals and 20 to 25% of white individuals worldwide have partial or complete lactose intolerance. There's also a very strong prevalence of this phenomena in the Asian population. Astonishingly, both groups, seen especially by the demand of camel milk in North and East Africa, where there's a huge community of Somalis or East Africans living, tolerate the consumption of camel milk. What makes the camel milk in this case so unique is still under scientific investigation. And then finally, data recently has emerged to suggest that camel milk contains medicinal properties to treat